As a business in 2025, I've decided to move to waterborne finishes. And this has been something in the making for probably 10 years now. I have literally spent thousands and thousands of dollars over the last 10 years buying various waterborne finish systems, and I've been completely unhappy with pretty much all of them. And the reason for that is I'm not saying that waterbornes are bad or terrible finishes. They absolutely aren't, and they've come a long ways in the last just few years alone. But the problem is waterbornes just, in my experience, look terrible on rich, dark toned woods that have a lot of figure, where you're trying to get a lot of grain pop and see a lot of grain depth and a lot of chatoyance through the finishes. Waterbornes end up looking really boring in my opinion, and so we've been very unsuccessful in trying to move to them. But due to all the safety and health benefits of waterborne, and also the lack of flammability and fire risk, I've just decided we're gonna do it, or I'm never gonna move away from it. So this video is here to talk about our experiences with the Renner system and trying to solve for the solution of getting a solvent look using waterbornes. Now, I will say that Renner and others like them, General Finishes I know has one, and probably multiple other companies. They do market a quote solvent look sealer or finish system, and I'll be honest, it's bogus. I've never, out of all those waterbornes that I've used that are supposed to have a solvent look, you can't see a difference. I cannot tell a difference, and they definitely don't look like a solvent borne. But let's go to our Renner cabinet here. And basically what we did when we take this approach, we are using the various dye stains that Renner has offered, you see. So we have a gold, a walnut, a red, and we also have a black, and we also have white. And so we took the approach initially to try to tone the sanding sealers to achieve that darker look, solvent look on walnut. And I'm not going to tell you yet if we were successful or not, but we also added another product that isn't a Renner product underneath this surface coating, which allowed us to achieve this really nice solvent look without being dependent on a complete solvent system. So let's get to it, and you'll kind of see our approach. We spent about a week doing this, and I'm really happy with the end result, so I hope it also helps you out in the future. All right, here's our mess of an art table. This sample down here in front of us was just our quick and dirty wipe on, wipe off to give us directionally some decision points. And then we took a DOE, or design of an experiments approach. We had the color codes yellow, red, black, which is actually brown, and then we do have a black. So we have a ratio of 3 to 6 to 1, a ratio of 1 to 1 to 2, 2 to 1 to 2, 2 to 2 to 2, 2 to 2 to something. And then we went ahead and I actually added black with brown. But after thinking about it, we really want to simplify this process. Brown is not required. So we eliminated and we focused strictly on the three, the yellow, red, and black. And so we took it from there, and this is a red, yellow, black that we really liked, and we moved on. So the first sample we sprayed was this right cup, and guess what? It was horrible. It was far too muddy. Should have known better. So what I'm doing now is I'm diluting it out so it doesn't have such a muddy look and eliminates all the color and figure. I'm going to show you real quick this right cup, what we sprayed and what it looked like. Well, this is a big fail. This is why we experiment in life. But initially what we had done is we are actually wiping on and off these dye samples. So we clearly need to dilute this one. So back to the drawing board and let's find the right ratio. Okay, here's our first two. This one is our first spray. Clearly we are way too concentrated. I diluted it by 10x basically on this one. And it's a lot better. It's still drying over here. You can kind of see it's a little reddish. My mix compared to Jesse's, it has a little bit more red in it. He's got more black and brown in his, so we're going to spray his next. So what happens though, right now it's going to be darker, but as that Waterborne dries, it's going to lighten up. You see how blonde this one ended up being. Okay, at this point we have our first 6 samples. Our shop looks like a disaster. It looks like an art studio, but heck, we're making some progress here. So E and D were definitely our preferred choices, and those are the 2 that made the cut, and we expand upon them further here in a second in the video. I do want to talk real quickly about B. B is a non-tinted, it's the clear Waterborne itself, and you can see just how blonde and how boring it looks. There's no diversity of color tone, there's no depth whatsoever, and this is exactly why we've been so frustrated in spraying Waterbornes on these dark, rich, highly figured woods like walnut. Okay, now we've taped the bottom half of sample E. We're also going to do this with D. So we're going to tone the upper half twice to try to get a darker look and ideally maintain the depth and all the figure and chatoyance. So we'll do this, we'll let this one dry. Again, we'll shoot D, then we're going to knock it down with 320 grit and spray the final clear top coat. Okay, these samples may look a little rough. This first sample is E. We've gone ahead and we sanded them down to 320 grit. Now you can see the spray lines between the single coat and the double coat. Then Jesse made up a new sample, F. Jesse made up another sample that his own secret little recipe. And then of course over here we've got D, which you saw before. Okay, so we've got our 6 samples that have been completely through the entire system, from the sanding sealers to the tinting. We've also gone ahead and tinted some of them with 2 sanding seal coats, and then we sprayed it with, this is an 851 series clear that has been catalyzed. Now this first sample, muddy, muddy, muddy. It has good uniformity in color pretty much, but you can see it's awful. It hides that this is walnut. It almost looks like a little bit of mahogany. You can't see any of the figure, no contrasting, no nothing. So that one's completely out. Now Jesse, this is a secret recipe, and I think it was very similar to mine. Again, muddy, too dark, masks all the beautiful color of walnut. Fail, fail, fail. Maybe some of you interior decorators that love uniformity and color matching would prefer this one, but I'm telling you, you're doing this piece of wood a total injustice if we were to do that. Okay, so these last 4 on the left were our final candidates. None of them really blew me away, but you can see I've got some nice depth. I've got good contrasting. You can see the black tones. You can see some of the reds in this. Walnut, non-steam natural walnut, has reds and purples, and it's such a colorful wood. A lot of people aren't even aware of it. This is the second sample, looks kind of similar to the other one. So all 4 of these we were pretty happy with. I really liked the double toned woods. I felt like it gave a darker, richer walnut. But when it's all said and done, none of these really blew me away. I didn't jump for joy like I do when we're doing solvent-borne oils or solvent systems on this, or even oil waxes. So we're going to go back to the drawing board and try something a little crazy before we make our final pick. And it's going to end up being a hybrid system that I'll talk to you about here in a second. I do really like this one out of all of them. This is sample E, and you can see that second tone spray. What a big difference that makes. This is close, really close. The question is, can I make it even better? So I went back to the drawing board. I wanted to spray a vinyl sealer on this and then top coat with a Waterborne. What's interesting about this is you can see all the reds and the purples using this vinyl sealer. Look at all that color. Maybe, just maybe, we're on to something here. All right, after a week worth of hard work and a total mess in the shop, today's the day of reckoning. We've got our favorite two samples here on the left. This far left one is a pure waterborne system. It's got 4 drops of our dye solution to 50 milliliters of the 851, which is equivalent to a 0.4%. The dye solution itself was simple. It was KISS, keep it simple, stupid. It was 1 to 1 to 1. 1 part red to 1 part yellow to 1 part black. Now, we also have this hybridized system on the right here. This is using the vinyl sealer compared to this pure waterborne, and there is a difference. I love the color of both, but I am sorry, I'm going to keep pointing out this red grain line. You cannot see that distinct color contrasting with the pure waterborne and tinting it. The tinting just barely masks that color no matter what we did, and I'm trying to pop that color and highlight it. And that is the natural beauty of these older growth walnuts. And that's something we just want to celebrate within our wood products and our furniture. If we go back to the pure waterborne system, you'll see beautiful tone, a lot more homogeneous. Let me wipe this off real quick, a little dusty in our shop. And again, I'm really happy, but look at that. I'm not seeing that color diversity, and those red tones are muted. Not what we're looking for, but possibly on another wood with less color diversity and figure, such as Texas mesquite. This is going to be our product that we're going to use on Texas mesquite. But when it comes to highly figured dark woods, it's hard to beat this hybridized system. The one question we did have was compatibility. And we talked to the vinyl sealer manufacturer. They said no problem. But what about adherence? We did cross-hatch testing to validate the adhesive nature, the adherence of these two products. Not a problem. Nothing pulled from the edges. All the squares are intact. I even beat it with a mallet and then did the adhesive testing. So this is the winner. All right, folks, we're 15 minutes into this video, far beyond what I thought. I apologize for the link. So I'm going to do a part 2. This is a little bit of a tease. This is the vinyl sealer on the top of this beautiful piece of walnut. But I'm going to show you, we've gone ahead and sprayed the vinyl sealer with the 851 top coat on the bottom side of this. So I want to show you that. Also, we'll talk about the full results, give you all my experience and feedback from this entire process. And by the way, if this is something you've worked on yourself and you have solutions of using waterborne on these darker woods, like this amazing piece of fiddleback within this walnut, please share. We'd love to hear your comments. We're a community, and we want to share our experiences and hopefully help each other out, because this is something that's been a massive challenge for my business for over 10 years. But I finally feel like we have a really good solution. We have an A solution, which is pure waterborne, and then we have a hybridized solution, which does minimize the use of the solvents, but we still need to take advantage of some of the look that these solvent sealers offer. Adios, guys.